What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Real Sports Eyes podcast. I'm David. He's Matt on the other side. Welcome to episode 38. Is it 38? I think it is. Episode 38. We're going with it. We have another guest episode. We have Lewis Church, who's a decathlete. Don't know why I said it like that. A decathlete, a two-time national champion. We had just an absolute amazing conversation with him, didn't we, Matt?
It was amazing. We spoke everything about decathlon. We found out he was a very decathlete nerd that loves his sport a lot. And we actually learned a lot of things about how hard it is to train for everything, which seems obvious, but never actually came upon me. So it was interesting to learn about that as well as his business that he's just started and some of the complications he faced when starting that business, as well as competing as an athlete. So yeah, this is episode 38. Let's jump right into it. Hello everyone. For today's episode, we have Lewis Church. Lewis is a well-known decathlete in Europe. For those of you that don't know what a decathlete is, in its entirety, it is someone who takes part in a decathlon comprising of 10 events. Let me see if I can get all of them. 100 meters, long jump, shot put, high jump, 400 meters, 110 meters hurdles, discus, pole vault, javelin, and 1500 meters or 1500 meters. He is a two-time national indoor champion, as well as a keen businessman with his latest project, the West Kent Athletics Club, in which they strive to offer high-quality coaching to the local community and mould the youth into the next generation of Olympic gold winners and record breakers. Who better to teach them? None other than Lewis Church. Welcome. Did you hear any of that?
Favorite event? What's your favorite event right off the bat?
Right, so you've frozen on me.
Sneezing attack.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You've just frozen at the most crucial point.
Ready? That's okay. You heard it. It was amazing. Great intro. You're welcome. What's your favorite event?
No, honestly, that intro was so good, and I actually want to write that bit on my website because that was a lot better than whatever I wrote.
Awesome. I'll send it to you.
We'll send it to you. Send it to you after.
Yeah, ping that over.
Yeah, right off the bat, David said, "What's your favorite event?"
It really depends whichever one's going well now. It used to always be high jump or hurdles, but now it's genuinely whichever one goes well because I do them so often. So at the moment, probably pole vault or discus.
Okay. What's your record in both of those?
I got them both last week. So 481 in the pole vault and did 46.39 in the discus.
Nice.
Which in on terms is actually pretty decent now. So yeah, big breakthroughs in those. I think obviously that's why I'm enjoying it more. But
I was going to say javelin. I'm wass at that. All I could ever do was just chuck it like that, and it would just land on the butt part. Terrible, shocking.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If I was to pick my league favorite, it'd be that every time, just because it's not as satisfying as you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
End up with a sore elbow.
Matt,
too much power,
I've heard of yeah. Too much power. I've heard of a new athletics club though that just kicked off. I think it's called West Kent Athletics Club. So get down there maybe. Work on your javelin.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I think it was I was supposed to start it before lockdown. I just thought I'd enjoy athletics coaching. I work a lot at Seven Oaks School. I've worked with Matt, and I've just always enjoyed the athletics part, not necessarily getting involved in the netball or the football. So I just thought I might as well do what I'm good at. Lockdown came and it gave me effectively a year and a half to set up a plan, and it just ended up being perfect timing of obviously athletics clubs were very slow to start up after lockdown, so I jumped in early, made sure I had everything in place in terms of COVID rules, and then it just started snowballing from there. Mainly been coaching younger athletes, but have quite a few one-to-ones with older athletes, working with the army at the moment, and a few secondary schools. So it's grown very organically. But no, it's exciting, really.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
fair enough with the army. How hard has it been, like, starting the business, but then also, like, did you face any challenges that you weren't prepared for? Because sometimes people can prepare for challenges. Like Dave and I prepared for some of the challenges, understanding what the next steps are, but you just get blindsided from things you never expected.
Yeah, so to be honest, the first year was complete plain sailing because, again, first year out of COVID, there's not much else going on. People haven't started rethinking about their future plans. And where I was just starting, obviously, it's just blossoming quite quick. The problems are coming more now in terms of time management. And also, it's always difficult with venues. Obviously, in the UK, half the year is bitterly cold and wet. And if I'm coaching kids, they don't want to be outside. Like, you can't be on a grass track. So it's finding sports halls and venues is the hardest thing. I keep having to change places because people are booking earlier than me. So
Wow.
I'm slowly working out all the intricacies of the business in terms of how far in advance you have to plan. I used to think 3 months would be enough. Now I'm looking at 12 months, 2 years. So it's tough.
I can't imagine what it's like. You said time management there, but also still competing. How do you
Matt,
manage
your
to
mic.
balance that? Don't worry, 38th episode. So, like you said, like, time management's really difficult, but also like, you're still competing. So how have you managed to find the time for that, essentially?
Yeah, so I've not done too well, if I'm honest. The last 3 or 4 months is the first time I've been like, wow, my work-life balance is off. So ended up like kind of working 30 hours a week, trying to train 30 hours a week, but I've got no time to eat or sleep. So I'm really struggling with that. As I've got more, I'd say, desirable as an athletics club, I can pick and choose a little bit more. But it's really hard because you're trying to grow a brand and you don't want to turn work away. But yeah, so it literally only last 2 or 3 weeks I've kind of nailed on what I'm doing this summer and thinking, right, I need these hours free because I'm just too used to spreading myself too thin, constantly being late for stuff. It's just not a good look.
You're fine with food, though. You just chuck hard-boiled eggs in your mouth the whole time. I've seen you in the gym walking around. That food's not a problem.
You've seen me slide you.
Just carries on walking
like Terry from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, just a bag of shelled eggs.
Mate, this guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, but was it quite scary? Like, how did you begin it in a way? Because it must have been scary to start the business, but then also you're thinking, okay, I want to get to the next level of decathlon and competing. Will this take away from that? So just wondering how you actually came up with the idea, and then if it was scary starting it.
Yeah, so I've always came up with the idea because I just think athletics is quite a old person's sport. So I mean, it's run in the dark ages. Everyone that's kind of operating in athletics on like a management level is well past retired, and they're generally in athletics because they've got so much money that they've got loads of time. So I was just thinking I can give it a new positive kind of young person's edge. But like I said, it wasn't difficult at all to start. I'm on the committee at Tunbridge Athletics Club, and I'm involved in quite a few other clubs, so I understand how it works. I understand the structure completely. So basically, they had a waiting list, and I thought, well, do you want me to take the waiting list and feed them back in? And they went, yeah, go for it. So it just started from there. I have a good relationship with all of the clubs, and my aim is always to support the athletics community, not dilute it more. So I think where I've stuck to that and not gone back on my word, I think I've gained a bit of respect from the other clubs, and they trust me enough to send me athletes knowing that inevitably they will go back to those clubs. They're just there for extra coaching. So I've had no real barriers to work against. So it's all been in my court, basically. I've been very lucky.
Oh, that's amazing then. And
what are the things? What are some of the? I was just gonna ask. What are some of the the biggest things that you've learned, business wise of starting? Looking back, what are kind of the two biggest things that you've learned out of this?
It's extremely difficult to manage people. That's one. And also, you've never got as much money as you think you do. Because you write it down on paper, you go, right, I'm charging out for this, this, and this, and this. And there's always something you haven't accounted for. Like the end of my first tax year was terrible, suddenly realizing, oh no, this is how it works.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's a very steep learning curve when you get it wrong first time in terms of the financial side. But I don't think, if someone told me all these things, I probably wouldn't have listened anyway. And I think it's something I've learned because I've gone, oh my God, I've lost $2,000 because I haven't done X, Y, Z.
Yeah. That's awesome. Like you said, like doing that as you're trying to compete. And I think this year is kind of the first normal year in terms of athletics, like seasons after lockdown. I mean, last year was nuts because they tried jamming everything into the same year. Like But just turning a little bit to your athletics career. First of all, give us a bit more of decathlete. Like what does that look like? Trying to do 10 events. How do you have time to train all those to a level that you get good enough? And one question I have is like, how does a point system work in a competition? So just, a little bit about the actual sport, because it's one of those that's like really cool, but I think a lot of people, including myself, struggle to actually grab a grasp of it.
Yeah, it's again, like I'm a bit of an athletics nerd, and especially decathlon. You don't successfully train for all 10. It isn't possible. There's always something that's going to fall by the wayside, or there's going to be an injury in the way of a certain event. It's very individual. Feel like I've only got into a good routine with what I do over the last 2 or 3 years. But again, something's got to give for 10 events, and that's the hard thing with decathlon as well. Most guys that do decathlon are extremely good athletes. I'd say among arguably the best athletes if they picked an event. It's not. I wouldn't say it's the other way around. I wouldn't say it's, I wasn't good enough at one, I'll do loads. I think it's these guys are good enough at one, but they're greedy, and then they do all of them. It's very frustrating in an event like javelin, where I look back on it and go, right, well, I've been doing this for like 6 years trying to throw it really well. But where there's so many other technical events in your mind, you genuinely can't focus enough on it. So someone will turn up to training, been doing it for 4 months, and their technique will already be better because that's all that's in their mind. Whereas I'm doing a javelin going, got to get my right arm up here. And then the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, in the shot put, it's always by my neck. So there's so much contradictory cues for the events. It takes such a long time to like weed out all of the useless information for those events. Effectively near impossible.
I was gonna,
but maybe it's for some people, but I haven't found that yet.
Yeah, I was going to say that there was a lot of athletes talk about trying to make their brain into like an autonomous state with some of their movements, and they spend like years trying to make sure that, say, their backhand shot is as fluid as possible, so they don't even have to think about it. So it's almost as muscle memory, just bang, hit it over and focus on the next thing. But when you've got 10 events, that must be absolutely impossible, because one little cue that a coach or anyone watching could throw at you could then offset the rest of the events. Like, say, throwing events, javelin, he's like, oh, you've got to hold out your arm. But you've been training that for so long, when it goes to shot put, that must just feel so unnatural if you've just been altering different bits. I wonder if there's like a domino effect.
Yeah. And that's absolutely right. And then some of the events as well, generally everyone goes into the decathlon with an event they're really good at. So like for me, I genuinely don't have to think about high jump or hurdles at all. I can run over them and they feel pretty good. Anything that I'm given, I can kind of do straight away. Some people have that for javelin, discus or shot, but like you've got 1 or 2 core events which come naturally, and the rest are just hard work. You just feel like you're thinking about each step. It's difficult. And you asked about the point scoring, because obviously I'm a bit nerdy, so I'd like to explain it. So basically they use it's like a Portuguese scoring system. Basically Portugal kind of set effectively 10 different algorithms for each event, and I've got to say I can't actually see any downfalls in it at all. There's literally no downfall. Everything seems to be weighted extremely well for all the events, and it's purely based on this algorithm. It's not based on the world records or anything. With the seniors, like the masters athletes, theirs is kind of based off the world records. But it's one of those events where you can have obviously the winner with 9,000 points, and you can have someone who's getting 2,000 points. It doesn't necessarily mean you're 4.5 times better than the person with 2,000 points. It's just the algorithm just shoots up. So if I was to improve by 0.1 in the 100 meters at 11 seconds, it's like someone running 15 seconds improving by an entire second. So they've really accounted for how easy it is to get gains at the lower level, and obviously how hard it is to get gains at a much higher level. Yeah, that's kind of how the points
is every event though scored the same, or does this algorithm kind of change, I guess, depending of like where that shoot up is? Depending on
every different algorithm. So
okay. But like, does first place get the same points? Like, if you won first place in every event, would you get the same points for first place in every event?
No.
That changes.
It's all to do with performance, nothing to do with position. So you could come dead last in every event, but still be reasonable, and then have a world record in 1,500. You might beat everyone overall. So again, I know for myself, if I get 11.27 in the 100, I'll get 800 points. It doesn't matter if I come first or last, I get 800 points. So it's quite nice that you're indirectly competing, but it's purely bringing the best out of you.
Yeah. So you're not actually competing. I mean, you're competing against the people that you're competing against, but you're not directly competing against them.
No, it's like in a lot of races I do, I start this, and I think if I'm within 0.5 seconds of the fastest person, I'm going to do well.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about how close can I get. If I beat them, great. But it's just at the end, it's all about those points, and some slightly harder to get points in. So we said the javelin. The javelin is one of those events where you can get someone rock up and throw 80 meters, but 9 out of 10 people are going to throw about 30. So the algorithm is really hard to get points in.
So does that kind of change then how you train as well? Because, for example, javelin, like, it might not make sense to get any better at javelin because it wouldn't do anything for your points, or not as much as like gaining that extra 0.1 second on your sprint.
Yeah, so it's a game of like just designating time. Like, you're supposed to be like spreading your time across the board, but like, I look at my season and I go, I could probably get another 30 centimeters in pole vault, which will give me 93 points more, or I could that equivalent improvement on something I think is purely technical. I'd have to run 0.4 seconds faster than the 100, which in my mind is just a physical ability. So it's kind of shifting your money into different piles, shifting your time. It's a real tactician's event. It's very.
It is like a chess match. And on the weekend of an event, does it change, like, depending on, I did poor in this event, let's like prioritize this other event, or actually people did better or worse in this event than we thought? It's like, do you have to kind of change your strategy as the weekend goes on depending on what happens?
Yeah, so it really depends on how your body feels as well. So British champ, I did the England champs last 2 weeks ago, and basically as soon as the gun went in the 100 meters, my back just snapped, and I'm then looking at the weekend going, can I salvage events? So I got to the I was hoping to be in a better position than I was at the 400, but because my body was pretty battered, I then thought, right, well, if I lose any more ground, I'm not going to win. So I had to eyeballs out the 400. Whereas sometimes you might go, well, I feel pretty rough. I need to wake up well the next day. I might take the 400 a little bit easier. But 9 times out of 10, you send it in every event and then just hope you survive.
Oh, and just earlier when we were talking about preparation, and you're choosing one event or the couple of events that you want to be strongest in. Do you, when you're outside of like competition phase of like say a periodization, are you looking at strengthening your strengths or strengthening your weaknesses more? Is there like any thought behind that, or is it just?
Yeah, so I initially did like a long-term development plan when I was younger up to last year, and it was always just about getting everything on that even playing field. So over lockdown, I was doing a lot of strength work because effectively I was kind of looking at my numbers, looking at my height, and kind of my speeds and stuff, and just thinking, well, my limiting factor currently is just power output. I've got long levers, the techniques are quite nice. I'm just not putting out enough power. So effectively, over lockdown, did loads of strength work and then have built it into power and speed over the last year or so. Even like if I'm trying to periodize the season, I know that training at Tunbridge with no indoor facilities, I can't be fast in April. It's just impossible. So I'm planning to be fast in August, in July and August. So instead of trying to waste my time getting really fast in March and February when it's just too cold to move, I really focused on gym work and power just to give the foundations to then move that onto the track, knowing it will take longer to translate this year than normal because I'm not kind of spreading myself, but the peak should get there at the right time. I really enjoy doing all the gym stuff. And again, you think you know what you know, but you can't account for everything. So like sometimes I've got into some bits of the season, I go, I am just so heavy. And then you just know straight away, well, my pole vault's not going to be very good because I haven't got the equipment to lift me up. And the high jump's going to be a little bit rubbish because I'm lifting up another 7 kilos off the floor. And you've just got to hope that you've put on enough power and held your technique well enough with the extra weight and things like that. But again,
I guess
there you go.
Yeah, you're sort of like a jackpot then for S&C coaches because like say you're out, you can really block it. Whereas say like rugby players, you're just there to manage injuries, I guess. With a lot of lads, they just pulled up with sore shoulders, so they can't ever be hitting what you want them to hit in the gym because you'll be like, okay, I had this plan for you, but we'll go do like a lower body or some rehab exercise. But with you, let's work on power this time. We want to really get you up to there, and then once we hit those markers, we can get the next stage into there. But it just like. I can't imagine though 10 events is a bit hectic, and then just talking there about the fluctuations in weight and what that can do to the next factor of events you've got to think about. So yeah, and then do you do any sort of assessment? So like say you are 2 kilos heavier, do you know if that's like, can you feel it within yourself or when you're practicing if that's just dead weight or if that's just proper power and strength, like lean muscle that you put on?
It is tough. Like I've got all my personal best I did when I was ill. So I was like 92 kilos, which for me is, I'm currently like 96, which feels very light. I can never feel a power decrease when I drop weight. But I think it's because I only do it for such a short period of time. But I know I don't feel healthy. I feel fit. I don't feel healthy when I'm light. It takes a little bit longer to get moving, but I can feel certain things. It's mainly in the high jump and the pole vault I can feel it. So the pole vault's just so obvious straight away because all the poles are done on like poundage. So if I weigh 3 kilos more, I'll need another stiffer pole. So if I'm jumping and not coming off the top of the pole as fast as normal, I'm just like, well, I'm just heavy. And then go on the scales and go, well, yeah, that was why. But
You should
also
ask David. He's been training pole vault for a while.
Oh, have you,
that's
David?
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, not actually, but my girlfriend's a pole vaulter. So one of these days, so I just do all the gymnastics and stuff with her. And one of these days, I'm gonna have to whip out a pole and give it a go.
100%. It's fun regardless of what level.
Hey,
Yeah,
next thing you know,
I
I
do
turn
really
around
want
like,
to try,
"Dave, what
but
have you
it's
learned?" And next thing you know, he's just spinning round in it. He's just spinning
Yeah.
around, showing all his little legs up. I
it's in the ground.
thought you meant pole vault,
Hang on a
David.
second.
Yeah. That one isn't bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's such a mental, like such a crazy sport. And one thing that is unique about that one, I think, is you don't like the fact that you don't actually use the poles that you use in competition rarely or if ever in training.
Yeah, so
Like
that's more of
like
a
how are you, like how are you supposed to get good at those poles? Because you don't use them in training because you're not as switched on and you're not as fired up to like actually put all the power into the poles to bend them. So like, are you the same? Like you don't rarely or never use the poles that you would in a competition when you train?
Yeah, I'm the same in most of the year, but it's all up here. It's nothing to do with on the track at all. It's all in your head for pole vault. Like if you're hyped up enough, you'll get on whatever pole you want. So if you can get that, like
Right.
at the moment in training, I'm going off I can start on my PB pole or one below,
Okay.
maybe. That's fractions of difference, but I think it's because pole vaulters are much more technical. They do a lot more volume in their sessions. So I think they obviously, I don't know, their peak is much higher. Whereas being a decathlete, you grab the pole, you've only got one or two cues in your mind. Straight or full run up, jump, and just go. Like if it doesn't work,
Right.
it hasn't worked. It's much less technical for the decathlete. Just because we've got much less time, so we've got to just bite the bullet and go, right, well, I can't waste my time going through doing 6 jumps to get to the pole I want. I've just got to go on it straight away. But again, it's to do with the psyche of it. So in the winter, I struggle a little bit more, but I've got more time. So I don't know, part of it.
That's so interesting because, from an outsider's view, the only athletics I watch like from an outsider, just don't really get into the nitty gritty part. And it's interesting to see because I just thought they've got to be amazing at all 10 events, but that's impossible. That was my thought process. So it's actually nice to hear what's actually happening. And then you just touched upon that sort of psychological aspect. Have you taken any time now that a lot of psychology and the importance of psychology and your mental well-being has come out? Have you taken any steps to approach that side of things? Or
not one bit.
Not enough time.
No, not enough.
Not one bit.
Time, but I'm not dissing the profession at all. I see why it's there and why people need it. But for someone like me, and like for quite a few other people I know, having a psychologist tell you the problem means there's now a problem. In my mind, sounds silly. I'm the greatest athlete with no weaknesses, and that for me works. And like my upbringing is quite like, I know my dad's quite stern. He's like, well, if you want to do it, you do it. There's nothing stopping you. Your body's working. Just go for it. And I think if someone was to say to me, oh, this can happen sometimes, well, then I now think, well, that can happen sometimes. I don't know. I think reach.
It could be one step forward, but then 2 steps back. Then essentially,
Yeah, just more things to cloud your mind. I think I could probably sit down with a psychologist and they tell me lots of things that would benefit me. But if there's anything that's a negative, I'm probably going to hold on to it. I think a lot of people do. I don't want to give myself an excuse. For me, the mental bit, personally, I know it's not the same for most people, but the mental bit isn't important. I can work through it. So I mean, I shouldn't be weak in that area.
Or if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Exactly, yeah. Because again, an event like pole vault, I never once thought about missing the box until someone said, "Oh, have you missed the box yet?" I went, "No." Like, what do you mean? What do you mean, miss the box? It's in front of me. Yeah, I missed. missed it just then. I'm like, oh, I'm staring at the box when I should be thinking about getting my arms up.
Yeah. That's so funny. That's totally like
the box?
the opposite. Yeah, that's right. Did you miss it? Have you missed it
No,
now, or you still haven't missed it?
No, I don't think about it now. But again, if someone says something to you, you do think about it, and it detracts from what you actually want to do. And I find, I genuinely think for a lot of people, having a psychologist is necessary, if not like mandatory. But for me, I just want to stay as far away as possible from anyone that's going to play with my mind.
Yeah,
for good or
that little witchcraft.
Get away from me. That's funny.
But then, and then you said you're obviously competing, and I was just wondering, what is the next stage for yourself that you see you want to achieve for this year or next year, coming year?
I want to go to the Olympics. That's the long and short of it. I never actually thought I'd be good enough physically to go to the Olympics or Europeans, anything like that. I've achieved all. I'm in my brother's room now, by the way, but I actually wrote down in 2013 like a list of things I want to achieve as a senior, and I've done them all. So like for my childhood aspirations, I've already surpassed them. So, which either shows that I wasn't very optimistic, or I don't know. But again, I've set new targets and going for those. But I want to make Olympics. I want to make a Europeans. I want to win some medals. And it's the first year, maybe year and a half, that I think, oh wow, I can actually do it. So it's again.
How important is goal setting?
Oh yeah,
sorry, just completely.
But yeah, I think important, like 100% hands down. For me, again, most important thing, something to every day you go to training, like, well, I have to do that, I'm not going to get there. It has to be a goal.
How short-term are your short-term goals? Because I know some people have their every day. So like every day they got a list of 5 things or 8 things they want to tick off, and some other people have like weekly goals or monthly goals. What do yours look like? I reckon
I'm probably one of a goal every day kind of person, but really they don't matter so much because it depends how you feel. I'm more of a yearly goal setter. So at the start in September each year, I'll set my plan up and I'll put aims, aspirations, and then I'll rank like my performances 1 to 5, and then write down if it's a physical problem, technical problem, or a tactical problem, and then go from there. I really set it all in September and I don't revisit them. So at the start of the year, I think, well, that's what I was going towards. That's what I need to achieve. So I've already reached my discus one this year. It doesn't mean I then resetting, I'm going to throw 50. No, that's tick, done. I'm on the other ones now. Yeah.
Sorry. Why September?
For me, that's when I end my season. Most people end their season like July, August, but where I use indoor facilities so infrequently, I end up peaking later than I should do. So I tend to compete all the way up until September. And then obviously as soon as I finish my last competition, I've got a fresh mind knowing that I'm not doing any more.
Okay. And then we spoke a little bit earlier about sort of how the range of different levels there are in decathlons. I was wondering, is it harder to obtain like sort of a physical genetic, like what are the physical and genetic advantages in decathlon? Because I know you said you're quite tall, but you need to sort of build that power up there. I was just wondering, like, do you get a range of different physiques in decathlon really?
Yeah, so you do, but I'm always amazed that there's a big variation. Generally, when I've been to the biggest competitions, everyone's been 6'4", and generally a bit lighter than me, but look stronger. Kind of just like everyone's normally like around 85, 90 kilos, 6'4", really long limbs, not necessarily big torsos or anything. But yeah, that's the advantage. You just lever length, and then if you've got a little bit of fast twitch with you, you're away. So for me, I've got massive benefit being 6'6", pretty big wingspan, long legs, and I'm carrying a bit of extra weight compared to the other decathletes, around 100 kilos most of the time. That's my physical advantage, which again puts me on that level above everyone else initially, but I'm slow as. So it's then bringing me back down to everyone.
Yeah. So we're not seeing any 5'6" lads just turning up, shot putting, absolute timber.
Well,
but then on the 100 meters, like little tanks.
Yeah, well, you say,
or like the hurdles.
I was explaining to one of the school kids.
Careful, Matt. You're not that far away from that.
How tall are you, David?
It's so good.
6'1", not
6'1".
6'6", that's for sure.
Matt, you're about 5'9", maybe.
Oh,
If
Carry
he does
on.
his hair up, maybe.
I'm 6 foot, guys. Please, I'm 6 foot. We're all friends.
Oh,
we're all friends.
we're all men.
That was 6 foot right there.
You mean you can jump to 6 foot? Is that what you mean?
All right. Yeah. Oh, you athletics friends. Oh, I've got a UK athletics top on. Look at me. Oh, I've got another West Kent athletics top on. No brand can buy me. No brand over here.
That's funny. I have a question. Do you, 2 questions. One's very simple. Do you have one coach or a coach for every single event? Because that seems nuts. And then the second one is, like, it's hard enough for athletes who do one event to kind of mix in the right amount of sports science, like with their S&C coach and then their coaches and physiologists and nutritionists and all that on the side. I imagine it's an absolute minefield when you're trying to prepare for 10 events. How does that work? How does that work? What's your not association, but like how do you work with the sports scientist or support team other than your coach or coaches to prepare you?
So this is an area where I'm pretty basic in. I'm kind of I wouldn't call it old school, but I don't use the sports science route at all. But I genuinely think that's, for me, due to money. It's
okay.
Decathlon is quite like a rich person sport, or like you have to be located in certain areas. So like if you're, let's say, based at Loughborough, a lot of the athletes up there will be connected to S&C coaches, sports scientists, nutritionists, and they will make as much use of that as possible, which is obviously great for them. And they'll be attached to obviously a big club. So at Loughborough, they've got specialist pole vault coaches, high jump coaches, all of that. So they have an avenue to explore everything. I've always just kind of done my own thing. So I was with my athletics coach, David Hull, who's a hurdles coach. And I started with him when I was 12. And basically, I was youngest in the group. Now I'm probably one of the oldest in the group. But we kind of just worked on all the events by ourselves. And then the real specialist ones, we've gone to see people every now and then. So I sometimes see a guy called Mark Chapman in Medway, who's the discus lead for England Athletics. John Bancroft for high jump, kind of travelling to Ashford, Medway, Lee Valley, Derek Laws for pole vault, John Wakeman. Like, I see different people all the time if I need it. Otherwise, I kind of get on with everything myself. The decathlon, you can overcomplicate the events, and the issue you have with a lot of individual coaches is they're coaching you to be a high jumper, or they're coaching you to be a shot putter. It's just not that amount of technical information, or what they're trying to make you achieve isn't possible for a generic athlete. So I tend to stick.
Would you say that's really important for like myself as a sports scientist, or Matt as an S&C, well, also sports scientist. Didn't mean to throw shade at S&C coaches there. Sorry about that. But is that a kind of an important takeaway for us, knowing that we're working with a decathlete, that almost changes what we say, because we could say all this stuff, but at the end of the day, you're not going to use any of it. So one, I could save my breath, and I don't want to overload you with stuff that you don't need or might actually cause you to take away from some other event. Would you say that's quite important?
I'd say for the technical stuff, it's important. But I think your role as a sports scientist, I think then you have to regress it more, and then I think you could do your role as normal as if it was anyone. Because as a decathlete, I would come to you and say, decathlon is 90% power and 10% endurance, and then that's all you'd need to know. I think in terms of that, in terms of how you have to approach a decathlete, I think. Because
we like being very specialist. Yeah. Where you're like a general specialist.
Yeah, but you could be a generalized specialist. It is difficult. So, like, what kind of things in sports science would you be doing with track athletes?
Right now, I do just mostly physiology testing in the lab, and then also like lactate testing in the field if they need it, or want it.
But I think because all that's again, like I said, the decathlon is an endurance event. It's over 2 days, and you have to be fit enough to get through it all. But the individual components are 90% power. They've got like a nice graph on, I can't remember what website it is, but it shows you like the physical requirements of each event, and it says low, medium, high, and on power it's high on all of them apart from the 400 and 1500. So like in terms of gyms testing stuff, I just do power, and I think that's generally the way to go, and then just hope I'm fit enough to do the rest of it.
And just send it on all events.
Yes, send it.
Now, that's a good point that you guys were talking about earlier about language, and we spoke a little bit about that with one of our past guests, Seb, who's one of the coaches at TJ's now, and he actually went with England Rugby for like a talk on language, and then also mixing it in with another one of our guests who's a senior analyst at Stats Sports, and they both sort of said like what you tell the athletes is got to be key. You can't just spout a whole lot of words and then you could just be ruining them. Like one of the things Seb's mentioned was that when it was ice cold on the field, he came over to all of the coaches and said, look, if the lads say, oh, the field's a bit cold, the field's a bit icy, that's going to hurt. Don't allow that any negativity. Be like, don't see it, mate. Let's just let's do some passing or something. So you don't like buy into that, because once you let it down, then you're just like, playing on their minds. Then you're just adding flames to the fire or fuel to the fire. And then also what Alex said was you just can't shout stats. So when he was with Liverpool, he said you just can't shout stats at them. You've got to make sure it's digestible for the people. So then you've got to know who your audience is at the time. If you're going to shout a bunch of sports science lingo, the player's going to look at you and just not know what the hell to do. You just got to make it interpreted by everyone that is sort of reading it in their own fields.
Yeah. I find if I'm competing, or especially if I'm competing, even if I'm training, if I have more than one thing to think about, I get frustrated. So, because then you think, well, what am I doing right then? I've had a shot put session recently where I've trying to do one thing, and then the coach says something else, and obviously your training partners try to help you as well. I'm like, well, I've just been given 4 bloody cues. Which one's going to make it go further? That's all I care about. Which ones are arty and which ones are actually physically going to move the shot.
That's so interesting. You could boil it down all to that, couldn't you? Like, well, which one is gonna make me throw further? Full stop.
Yeah.
Like that's all I care about.
Yeah, and that's because I don't care if it looks like, as long as I've got the actual physical pieces of information that work. Like, how long am I pushing an implement for? How much work can I create? How fast is the javelin releasing? That's all. Like, the release speed of a javelin is all that matters. There's nothing else. What else is going to make it go far? Not looking really pretty on the run up with my fingers flailing around. It's just how hard I hit the thing.
That's funny. Matt, what were you gonna say?
I've completely forgotten it. I was just trying to think about it. It's gone from my mind.
Nice.
The essence. Was it about
Pardon?
S&C or sports science?
No. It was going to be just amazing, great chat. If I'm honest, I genuinely, it's gone from
I
my
hope
mind.
Probably missed.
No, pardon.
So I hope it's not a joke because you probably missed the opportunity now.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Yeah, from about 10 minutes ago, I had this great joke. It was about something, but I've completely forgot. No, I mean, yeah, it's just amazing to hear the insight of the, what it's like as a decathlete. That's what I was going to ask. It seems like quite a rare sport to get into. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like someone's first go-to sport. And I was just wondering what the social, because it's quite rare, is it sort of like you're coaching your mates that you're competing against? Like, how social, how awkward is it with your mates if they're competing doing the same thing?
So my training partner Harry, we're generally number 1 and 2 in the country. We've been competing against each other since we were about 9 years old. So it's very good because you're training with someone who's at the same level and you're progressing together. But it's obviously in the back of your mind, you are thinking, right, we're going to compete against each other in a bit. It also makes it, I don't think it ever makes it actually more satisfying. It makes it more annoying knowing that either one of you has underperformed. Because I don't know, you kind of take a little bit of success in the other person's success. So if someone gets a big long jump PB, you're like, all right, cool. That means I'm going to get a big long jump PB. Like, I don't know, yourself.
Yeah.
But then if you suddenly do bad or they do bad, then it's like, oh, that's a bit unfortunate for them because we've been working really well. Or, by the way, wow, it's terrible for me because now I'm going to lose. So
yeah.
it's
That's
it's difficult, and I think it happens in all the events. But the decathlon, everyone's quite close. Like, we've got group chat with the 10 or 15 of the guys that are always near the top. We don't talk about decathlon very often, but you're very aware of everyone else's performances.
Yeah. What's it like
any little tips that get found out? Do they get sent in the chat? Oh, sorry. Go try answer both those questions, Lewis.
Yeah. At the same time.
Yeah, go, David.
What's it like? What's it like with the other events? Do they get annoyed at Do they get annoyed at decathletes because, like, I don't know, they're using all their stuff, or do they like look at you and feel like, they kind of do my event?
I think a lot of people just think we're terrible, but then if
I can imagine all of them just turning up with shot puts, javelins, like one's got pole vaults, all of them with all the gear, just all turning up together like slow-mo walking to the track.
It's like
the decathletes are here.
Like bucking bronco, you kind of just load yourself up with the implements and hope you get to the track.
You hear the noise, just like all the decathletes like reversing all their massive semi-trucks in with all the gear that they need because they've got all of it.
I don't know if you can see. Oh no, my car's not parked there, but my car's loaded with stuff. I've got a competition tomorrow, but it's pretty.
Where is it? Where is your competition?
It's at Basingstoke. We've got a National Athletics League, but this leads on well to your question. So obviously, it's just an individual event. So effectively, league match athletics doesn't exist without decathletes or heptathletes, because there purely isn't enough athletes that focus on athletics seriously. And I don't think British athletics realise this, or individual eventers themselves. So the pole vault rankings, if you take all the decathletes out of it, it's just not an event. You've got the top 5 guys who are seriously good, then you've got this massive gap to the rest of the pole vaulters, and that bit is where the decathletes. So, like British champs hurdles.
Yeah, Yeah.
It's like 30% of the field.
There's a
Yeah. Athletes.
That's crazy. Yeah, there's a pole vaulter who is a decathlete. I forget his name. Ewan
Bradley at Loughborough.
Maybe he trains in Loughborough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of all the athletes that I know that actually are decathletes.
Yeah.
If they weren't decathletes,
Yeah, he came
would thin out the field.
last week. He did really well.
Right.
Yeah. And
he did pretty good at.
We're gone. Sorry.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that at all.
Yeah.
So tomorrow you're competing individually though in one event, not as a decathlete.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. So I'm going to do 5 events, so I'm going to run round doing each event throughout the day.
Mate,
and inevitably
with different disguises as well.
Yeah. But I want to win them.
You're gonna be like in the 400-meter run with your javelin, just like quickly hang a quick left, throw the javelin, keep running the 400 meters.
Oh shit! Mate, he's doing drive-bys on all these field events.
Yeah. So this is the only thing that what's people's reaction? It depends which event it is. So if you're at a league match and you're in the shot put and you're a decathlete, 9 times out of 10, you're generally going to do really well. But no one's happy because you're like, I'm here. I'm changing shoes because you've just come from high jump. So basically, just carry this big duffel bag of shoes around, dropping at each one, going, "Oh, can I jump in at the end of the round?" Stuff like this, just trying to hold the team together. And then events like pole vault, like where most of us are good at it. Again, like people like you and myself, like we jump pretty high, but a lot of the decathletes don't train enough at pole vault to be ready for every condition. So there's a lot of second attempts, third attempts. So you end up obviously in the top guy's eyes slowing the competition down, but you are the competition, so it doesn't matter. But it really depends what event you're looking at. Generally, if you lose to a decathlete, you're like, "Oh my god, that's so frustrating." But if you're better than the decathletes, you're like, "Oh, they're rubbish." But I don't think most of the events appreciate how detrimental it is to train for other events.
It'd be like the guy running around the gym trying to like work in with everyone in the different machines, but like outlifting everyone in all the different machines as well.
Yeah. Can I jump in? I'm just going to do a warm-up set.
Yeah.
Just
but also
unloading his 150 kg bench press.
Spot, right?
Yeah, it's the classic cleaning someone deadlift PR, isn't it?
Oh, so good.
That's funny.
And that will take us into Whey or Nay, talking about little spotting, little gym issues, wouldn't it? So
speaking
we've got
of, nice.
Yep, sick.
Good transition.
Go.
Sorry.
Go.
I got excited. You go. Keep going. That's my bad. I got excited.
No, I don't know the Whey or Nay question, so you take it away from here, mate.
Oh,
okay. Take it away.
I can't remember it.
Is Whey yes, or is Whey a real like
Whey yes, bro.
You
don't take
Whey
protein.
Yes.
I don't do any protein.
Oh yeah, you do. Just
eggs.
He doesn't. He takes it all from his hard-boiled eggs. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Eggs and bacon.
He doesn't have time to eat or sleep. Remember?
Right. Yeah, true.
Yeah. We'll get CNP on that. Boiled egg flavor protein. That's grim.
Mate,
I think.
Love it. Go on. What's your Whey or Nay, David?
Yeah, new part of the podcast. Whey or Nay. Whey is yes. Nay is no. The question is the question is spotting or asking someone in the gym if they want a spot if they haven't asked for it.
No. Nay.
Nay. He says nay. Why?
Because
that's the real question.
Because they've not asked me, and most people look at you in disgust. I've got a rule of if you've got headphones in, I'm not talking to you because you've got headphones in. And
Good rule.
everyone's got headphones.
Yeah.
You've got little headphones in. It means don't talk to me. If you've got headphones on, it's like F off. Like they're not. I'm not here to talk to anyone. So Matt, I never talk to him.
I'm on a podcast. Yeah. No, that I to be fair, I agree with that. The other part was one of our listeners or one of our past guests was like, what if you're getting a spot and the person that's come over to help you has got really loose shorts on, and next you know you're just getting so distracted by what's happening in his shorts instead of your actual lift. Can you be pick and choosy about who spots you?
No, not really. If I could choose, then. Like, but.
Oh, that's
I don't ask for a spot very often in the gym. I go to sometimes if I'm in the school gym with you, that's easy. I'd almost expect you to be.
Oh yeah.
But the
just Kurdo and I just talking off in the corner.
Yeah, I'm just clicking. Like, come on. But I go to
because people were split on this one when we did it. We put it on a poll on our Instagram, and people were split. I think it was either 50-50 or it was slightly better for Whey. So people saying yes, and I guess maybe it depends if like it's a random person. I said it as like it's a random person.
Yeah.
Because one person also said like it depends on the movement. Like if it's a heavy squat, maybe. Or like if someone's not doing a heavy squat, like don't.
Oh no, I've only the only time I've ever done it or even considered is bench.
Yeah, I was going to say squat. Stay away. I hate spotting someone squatting. It's just so weird to go like all up in their space and just be like, yeah, one more, mate. Yeah. You got one more. Just take their headphone off and speak into their ear.
What's this?
Buddy. Yeah.
I finished them ages ago. Stop it.
Yeah. You're by the water fountain now, just holding him as you go along.
Nah,
that's funny. Yeah.
I
don't get people who. I mean, I get it if somebody squats someone doing low bar back squat, but anyone who's spotting someone doing high bar back squat, don't get it because you can just throw it off your back.
Yeah.
So you can, and that's probably safer because the amount of times I've seen people almost die from like the spotters on low bar back squat not spotting properly, and then one guy like pushes it up and the other guy almost gets like 300 kilos on their chest.
Yeah,
you know, it's dangerous.
The only time I would spot in bench, like you can just tell when someone's looking for a spot as well, or like you see, or you out the corner of your eye that you see them almost die the rep before, and they've put more weight on the bar, and you're
all right, mate. This guy's got some issues.
yeah. Or you do that like
I'll even see it at work sometimes.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Do you like no? Don't even do it. Don't do it. And then you just see him whack on like 5, not even like a small increment, like 1.25. He goes, smacks a 5 on you. They're like, all right, sweet, I'm here, just ready to run over. And it just goes, impales him. And you're like, nice. Good rep, buddy.
Again, at work, that happens a lot for you. Yes. Especially, they already failed the one before. And they're like, they've got so much ego. They're like, well, it's just a bad rep. I'm sure I'll get the next one.
I've seen so many come in and they're like, mate, this one kid walked in and he just loaded up the bar with about 80 and he's like, he hasn't even taken his first breath in the gym and he's already got 80 on the bar and he's ready to go on a bench press. And this kid is under 16 max. And for my employees out there, obviously I have a quick conversation with him. We go through the whole physiological effects that could happen and, you know, he's fine now, obviously. It's all good.
Toothpaste tube.
His soul's just squeezed out so far out. But yeah, I guess that answers that question. So now you're going to be subject to quick fire questions. So I've got 6 here actually, and it's just going to be rapid fire.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, ready? What was your first job?
I've got coach.
Nice. Weirdest DM received?
You can't. Oh, I got asked to do a naked film shoot, which ended up being not real.
Sorry about that. I'll try to get you. I'll try to catch you out on that one. Best piece of advice received?
Don't put off tomorrow what you can do today.
Banger. Best nickname heard, or what is your own nickname that people call you?
I've got a lot of nicknames. Oh God. I got called Murtasacker a lot when I was younger because I was so slow. Or I get called Gimpy by my schoolmates, which is not nice.
That's good. I like Gimpy. That's sticking. Where do you see yourself retiring? Like ideal place to retire?
Place to retire. It'll be Kent Champs at the end of the season, or it'll be one of my West Kent Pro League matches. We'll have it set up. Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Nike, Castor, Adidas, or Under Armour, or any other sports brand? What's your favourite, or one you could get sponsored by?
The one I've actually inquired about before is Slazenger, because I just thought maybe they want to break into the athletics market, because I've got a lot of their stuff, and I think nothing back. Nike.
Oh, yeah, Nike. Not Everlast.
Lonsdale,
they could do
maybe?
some mean ass little.
Add a couple good wrist straps to your gym bag.
Yeah, people.
To your duffel bag that you're running around with. yeah.
Do the classic.
Just ties up a boxing bag, innit?
Just got to warm up really quickly before pole vault. Sorry, guys. Don't mind me.
Anyone beats me is getting it. All right, anyone that beats me. Fair enough. That's all I've got for today. For today's quick fire questions. Wow, speech. Yeah, that's all I got. That was good. That was actually probably the fastest we've ever had. I can't remember what guest it was, but they took long. It was 5 minutes each question, and I loved it.
You said quick. Like I could have sat thought.
Yeah,
and I'm trying to work out which one you're trying to catch me up with. I can't remember what I've told you.
I'm
excited to see the nude shoot. I can't lie. Yeah.
Yeah, I had some follow-up questions that I kept out to myself on that one, so that we keep going.
Yeah.
There you go. Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Church. It was really, really enjoyable, and I learned a massive ton once again.